Hey, Amie,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? And a pleasant good evening to you. Oh, wait, what? I jumped the gun there. What's up, party people?
Whoa.
Exactly. Wow. It's like, am I new? What am I, a rookie over here
Happy
making all these
Hump
mistakes?
Day, everybody.
Let's
Okay,
just
ready?
say,
Do it again.
let's just say that, like the Dodgers, who aren't playing very good baseball right now, it's becoming contagious. Anyways, what's up, party people? If you are listening, wow, it totally completely threw me off, but that's okay.
Hey,
So we're gonna
guys, we're human.
yes. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you're listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
Hi. You guys are in for a great show because I'm exhausted. We started off on a weird note. I think this is just it's gonna lead to a lot of fun this episode.
You know, I got to tell you, Amie, it just goes to show you what a creature of habit I am. I've been in the new studio now, what, maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and I feel like it's completely thrown me off of my routine. And that's why I make mistakes. So maybe like the Dodger players, I should give them more grace and give myself more grace. But
I like it. I am on board with this message.
all
Yes.
right. That being said, there's a lot of Dodger talk that we are going to get into. Before we go ahead and do that, though, I do want to go out. Before we get into actual Dodger updates, I do want to throw this update out there. As one of our listeners, Oscar, said to me this past weekend, you are now the only Prince of Darkness. For those of you who are fans of Ozzy Osbourne, he passed away was it yesterday? I believe it was. At the time we are recording this, it is Wednesday. So he passed away earlier this week. Not that I was a big Ozzy Osbourne fan, but it was brought to my attention that he was the original Prince of Darkness, and as I'm often referred to as the Prince of Darkness, my condolences to him and his family. Were you an Ozzy Osbourne fan, Amie?
I mean, I'm sure there's some songs that I like, but as I was telling a listener yesterday, I don't really celebrate his entire catalog. But, you know.
Fair enough. Amie, do you want to get into any comments from the comments corner before we get into the updates?
Um, so David wants a taco. Thank you for playing along with our siren game. I love that you can find fun in that. He had mentioned that as the president and founder of the Max Muncy fan club, he's thrilled that Max is finally getting the recognition that he deserves. He's seen too much Muncy slander all these years, and now he's eating his popcorn and watching everyone freak out because his boy is down. So Max Muncy is getting the well deserved respect, and David Wants a Taco is getting his vindication.
Well, we're going to get into it, I think, as we discuss the series, because definitely, I think Max Muncy has become a popular answer to some of the Dodgers' offensive struggles. But I do want to go ahead and confirm, as long as David Wants a Taco has been listening to this show, he has always been a very strong advocate of Max Muncy. So we will break it down, ladies and gentlemen, and see all of this stuff. Anything else?
Yeah, Jordy Higa mentioned he feels similarly about Bauer as the Urias thing that we brought up last week. So sounds like we have some like-minded people who kind of think a little bit similarly to us. And then Jose Ayala was parading under his daughter's account. That's how much he loves the show, that he wanted to make sure that he could comment, even if it had to be under a different username. But he has some similar views as Hillary as far as bobbleheads. So I hope you don't feel attacked.
No, I don't feel attacked, not at all. I will stand my ground. I
Okay.
said what I said, and I'm not going to go ahead and back down from this. You guys can call me the killjoy all you want. I have very strong feelings about this, and I will continue to advocate against bobbleheads. Uh,
Even this adorable Fernando Valenzuela bobblehead. Look at how cute he is.
All right, you brought it up, Amie. I was going to try to be positive. I was going to lean on you because you are the queen of positivity, and we definitely need positivity. But that bobblehead, uh, look, and I don't know if you were going to include this in the updates, but because they had Fernando Valenzuela bobblehead on Saturday, they also unveiled a mural of him. Where we talked about this on last week's show. That's where Julio Urias mural used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Where the new Fernando Valenzuela mural is, that used to be where that wall was, where it was a Julio Urias by itself mural.
Yeah,
So
I got to cover it this weekend, which was
so I feel like that mural is great. I think Fernando Valenzuela is definitely worthy of having a mural. So I'm very conflicted about what I'm about to say, because you have someone who is worthy of this recognition. He is worthy of that mural. The timing on this, and I get it, the Dodgers went ahead and planned this at the beginning of the season. They probably planned it after he passed away at the end of last year. But the timing of this, to me, is so horrible because of the fact that the Dodgers commercialize. They've been commercializing Fernando Valenzuela for the longest time, and we get it. That's the deal that we as fans and the organization have. You are going to monetize Fernando Valenzuela, and we're going to get everything that has Fernando Valenzuela's name on it. We are going to go ahead and buy it willingly. It does feel a little gross to me that this past weekend they gave out a bobblehead, they did that mural, and we still had what their lack of reaction to the ice raids. That's what was conflicting to me. And look, I get it. You guys love the bobbleheads. Like I said, Fernando is completely worthy of that. But the irony is not lost on me that you have a mural of an immigrant inside that stadium. You have an immigrant who is leading this team. The unicorn is fantastic, is amazing, and the Dodgers as an organization still can't still can't go out of their way to just even condemn what is still happening, by the way, in our communities. We are now over 40 days of this siege. So Amie, I'm going to take care of all the negativity. I'm going to allow you to take over with the positivity because you were there covering that mural. You were there on bobblehead night. Tell us some good stuff about this.
yeah, I think many things can be true in this case, and while there are many people who will argue about the monetization, it's not untrue. But as we have talked about multiple times on this show with heritage nights and things like that, it is still an opportunity for people to be seen. It is an opportunity for people to have a piece of Fernando. Um, however you feel about what's going on in the world, he is still beloved, and for many people to be able to have a bobblehead of him to pay the ticket price to get that is is a way for them to be closer to him, to his legacy, etc. And again, multiple things can be true at once. I'm not discounting some of the other stuff, but the joy that was in the stadium because of his bobblehead, because of the mural, the people going to see that, it still can have that positive tinge because we can still celebrate him. At the end of the day, if you want to get into economics, politics, whatever, all of that bad stuff is always going to be there. It, yes, we can try to make positive changes, each of us, but we all have to decide where we fall on that spectrum. And for the people who were there celebrating him, it was exciting to see. His family was there beforehand. There was a lot of stuff before the game where they were included. And again, we all know the mixed legacy of how he left the team and other things, but he did come back. He was a broadcaster there. So to be able to celebrate his life, it was just a really positive thing in the stadium. You could feel the energy from the people there, and it just it was honestly, it was for the circumstances. I'm not trying to discount any of that, but it was still a beautiful day.
And that's the beauty of this show, ladies and gentlemen. This is his and her, right? We're going to give you opposite opinions. Now, there may be times that Amie and I are going to agree on issues, but for the most part, I think Amie and I will, we just, as she loves to say, we just fan differently, right? So we're going to get different points of view in all of this stuff. I do want to, before we segue off of this topic, just want to save everybody the time who wants to go ahead and send me these messages of Juan, get over it. Let's leave politics out of Major League Baseball. I just want to remind everybody that number 42 is retired in all Major League Baseball stadiums, and that was a political issue. You can tell me all you want that that wasn't politics, that didn't involve politics, but what Jackie Robinson and particularly what the Dodgers did was a political issue. So I get it. We may not agree on these things. That's what the point is of this show, to go ahead and have the conversation. Amie's points were very eloquent in favor of. I still feel a little queasy. It does make me feel really uncomfortable to see this, what's going on. But we're talking about this, and then I know we haven't even gotten into the updates, but I just want to throw this out there. On Friday, there was a new Dodger that was inducted into the Legends of Dodger Baseball. And he's a Dodger who is actually very strongly connected to Fernando Valenzuela. And the way I'm going to tie this all in together, Amie, is Ronce and the Dodgers at one point did not have a very good relationship. I interviewed Ronce, and Ronce was not, he does not hide. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to speak to Ronce, Amie, but he does not hide how he really feels about certain things. And there was a point where his relationship with the Dodgers was really, really sour. So I think it was great to be able to see that the Dodgers brought him in into the Legends of Dodger Baseball. Hopefully, will repair that relationship, or that relationship is on the way of being on the mend. But of course, when you have these Legends of Dodger Baseball, you get to see the alumni come out. You got to see Dusty Baker. You got to see Mike Scioscia. You got to see Hershiser out there. And one of the things that I didn't realize this, but this past weekend, they had representatives of the last four Dodger World Series on on that field during the Legends of Dodger Baseball. Amie,
Mm-hmm.
any thoughts on Ron Say going into the Legends of Dodger Baseball? I know it was probably before your time, so you really didn't get to see Ron Say enough, but he is part of that legendary infield that played together for the longest time.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with his legacy, so it was exciting to know that he got the honor that he's deserved. To your point, they had a lot of different things around the stadium with that, with those the four, like basically the last half of the World Series teams. So getting to see all of those players come out, they were out again on Saturday, so getting to see them on the field as the players came out. So I believe it was, I want to say it was Max Muncy who came out with the 2020 trophy, and I believe I'd have to go back to my photographs that I took, and I think Freddie might have had the other one. But as the guys were coming out, you see Kike come out. He came and he greeted every single one of those guys from the 81 and the 88 series. Came over. All of the other guys eventually walked out of the dugout, took their places with the 2020 and the 2024 World Series class, and you just got to see everybody. It kind of like last year when we got to see all of the alumni come back. It's great to see those different cohorts and those different years as they come together, and just even when they're getting ready and everybody's kind of standing around shaking hands, catching up, and then afterwards, so like right before the game starts, you see everybody just mingling and getting to see each other again. I would kill to be a fly on the wall for all the conversations that they're having, but it's awesome to see.
The most exciting part of me of the last weekend, I didn't want to lead with this because I wanted to make sure that Valenzuela and Ronce got their flowers. But for me, the most exciting thing to see is my second favorite Dodger player of all time was there this weekend. Now, Fernando Valenzuela is the reason why I'm a Dodger fan. He's my all-time favorite Dodger, but in a very, very close second is Pedro Guerrero. And Pedro Guerrero was there this weekend as they honored Ron Say. And if you guys follow the Dodgers enough, Pedro Guerrero really isn't. He doesn't show up to these alumni events. He's really not around the Dodgers that much. Now, he does live on the East Coast, and he's had some health issues. So the fact that we got to see Pedro Guerrero there just the week before, I was at an event where my daughter was getting a scholarship for ESPN from ESPN LA, their celebrity softball game. And actually, Pedro Guerrero was there earlier working with Oral Hershiser's Legends Attic and signing autographs. So what I'm hoping, Amy, is that this is the beginning of another. I don't know if Pedro Guerrero and the Dodgers organization had a falling out, but what I'm hoping is this is an olive branch that's being extended out to Pedro Guerrero to become more active in the alumni, and perhaps they are prepping me for inducting Pedro Guerrero into the legends of Dodger baseball. And let me tell you, if Pedro Guerrero gets inducted into the legends of Dodger baseball, I might go back to Dodger Stadium for that.
Okay, and buried in there, kudos to Haley for getting that scholarship. Just amazing softball player. She has a bright future ahead of her. So good for her, and especially speaking in front of a crowd is not easy, and she handled it with grace. So
That is true.
shout out to her.
They put her on the radio, and of course, she is nothing like me, and she is petrified of public speaking, and so she needs to be prepared for things. She does not like surprises. So when
I get that. I understand where she's coming from.
So when they spring things on her, she does hit the panic button a little bit, but she handled it with grace. So
As do most people who are not like avid public speakers. Like not all of us thrive in that forum or love it. Like honestly, it's not my favorite thing either. And here we are doing a podcast. So you know.
That's right. I'm very proud of her. Okay, Amy, if there's nothing else you want to add, do you want to get into the updates?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do the updates.
All right. So I just have a couple moves. I think a lot of this other stuff will come out in the wash when we're talking about the games. But Blake Trinan and Blake Snell, the Blakes, they are still rehabbing with Oklahoma City. They threw a couple innings each. Well, actually, I take that back. Blake Trinan threw one inning. Blake Snell did 4 innings. He had 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and a 2.25 ERA. So he should be pitching again this coming Saturday. They're hoping for 5 innings, maybe 75 pitches. So they're shooting for that. And then from there, they're going to figure out does he need to go out one more time, or is he ready to be activated? So we could be seeing Blake Snell sooner rather than later. And then Blake Trinan, he did pitch an inning. So he faced 3 batters, 2 strikeouts, and 15 pitches. So they're well on their way. We also saw some people getting moved around. So Edgardo Enriquez got recalled on, I'm losing all my days here, so I think that was Monday, and we saw him pitch. We'll get into that later. In that move, though, we did DFA Lou Trevino. So he will either get claimed or not, and we may see him in Oklahoma City, or somebody may pick him up. I would say normally we know what happens when somebody gets DFA'd, but half the time these guys are getting like outrighted back into Oklahoma City.
Amy, I should have known the writing was on the wall when Lou Trevino pitched for the 3rd day in a row. So I'm listening to the radio broadcast, and even Steven Nelson is surprised to see Lou Trevino's warming up in the bullpen and that Lou Trevino was going to come into the game. Now, he was doing the game because Rick Monday had I think the weekend off. James Loney was actually doing the analyst role. And so Steven Nelson goes, wow, Lou Trevino for the 3rd day in a row. And we know how the Dodgers are in terms of their usage. So I should have known that something was up when they decided, because I feel every time we get this announcement of a DFA, the Dodgers try to squeeze all the juice out of that they can before they finally let them go. I digress. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, so we'll see what happens with him. I guess is the
Question
point
mark?
of that. Yeah, question mark. We also recalled Alexis Diaz, who we had gotten earlier in the season, and with that move, we threw Tanner Scott on the aisle for 15 days with left elbow inflammation, which again we'll get into a little bit later in some of these games. But with some of those injuries, Tanner Scott going out. He did have an MRI on Tuesday. They did find inflammation. His ligament is intact. He's never had any arm issues in his career, and he's probably not going to throw for the next couple of days. But he did get that stinging sensation in his arm during the game earlier in this week. And then Kasperius also went out on Tuesday with cramping, so he experienced it during his warm-up throws on Tuesday. Went into the game. We saw what happened there. So came out with a right calf cramp. The MRI for him was negative. They expect that he should be avoiding the IL, but he does need a few days at least. So we'll see how that plays out.
Is that all you got for the updates?
That's all I have off the top of my head. I have one that's unrelated, but do
Go
you have
ahead. Go
anything?
ahead. You go.
So Rich Hill became the 18th pitcher to start a game being 45 years or older. He's the sixth one in the 21st century. I just love every time we hear Dick Mountain's name because he's my age. So it just gives me hope of like, all right, if he's still pitching, we're okay.
Did you see the picture of Dick Mountain with Justin Turner
I
at Wrigley Field?
I did not.
So they posted a picture after the game because Dick Mountain pitched in that series
And it was
for the
with the
Royals.
Royals, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for the Royals against the Cachorros. So I don't know if it was Courtney Turner who posted it or it was Justin Turner, but it was Justin Turner holding his baby, Courtney Turner. I believe, I'm assuming it's Dick Mountain's wife. I'm not familiar with what Dick Mountain's wife looks like. Dick Mountain and then Dick Mountain's son. So I think it was a wonderful picture because I think it really speaks to, again, yes, we're in here about the wins and the losses and it's all about performance, but for these guys, it's about the bonds, it's about the relationships and the fact that who knows how long it's been since they played together. You could just see in that picture that Justin Turner and the Turners were actually so happy to see that Dick Mountain is still out there living his dream of pitching in Major League Baseball. I remember the last time I saw Dick Mountain, I think was with the Show Pods, and he just did not look good. He was getting hit hard. And you would think, hey man, you made your money. You got nothing else to prove. You had a very good career. Just go back and enjoy retirement with your family and all that stuff. But Dick Mountain is still out there, and why? There's only one answer, ladies and gentlemen. That guy is still out there because he loves doing it. And I am never going to, begrudge anybody for doing things that they love to do.
Well, we were just talking about that before the show. Like, we have busy schedules. Like, we do this for love of the game, for love of like whatever. I fair warning, everybody. I've been at Dodger Stadium since Saturday, so my notes are all over the place. I'm gonna be all over the place, but our my gracious podcast partner was like, "Hey, if this gets to be too much, we can take a break." And it's like, no, we can't. Like, I love doing this. I love getting to talk to Juan every week about baseball, and it's like we will run ourselves into the ground. We'll pitch when we're in our mid 40s because this game is so amazing. So it's just one of those things that I love so much. Just getting to see him pitch, getting to talk baseball with you every week. So, yay baseball.
Even though I make you eye roll so hard.
Sometimes I mean, I still show up. I haven't taken the out you've given me yet.
like the time that I got a message from one of our listeners, Anthony Couturier, who said, "Hey Juan, you were right. You start talking about Mookie Betts should get moved up in the lineup, maybe the leadoff spot," and it happened. So Anthony, thank you again for acknowledging the fact that Major League Baseball watches Baseball Shangri-La, because the minute we talk about something on this show, it ends up happening in the game. And I shared that with my co-host, and I could feel the eye roll coming through the text message.
Oh, I sent you an emoji eye roll because to me, like, I know that's the stuff that you think is hilarious and funny. I just, all right, like, or we're all just talking about the same stuff.
I don't I don't find anything funny about the truth, Amy. That was the
Mhm.
truth, and our listener was just sharing the truth. So thank you very much, Anthony. Keep fighting the good fight, my friend.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
So
so no more updates?
no,
All
nope. I
right.
think that's it. Why did you have anything that you wanted to fill
No.
in?
Let's get into some Dodger talk, Amy. And a pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. I'm starting to take my ginkgo biloba. I want to go ahead and give you credit. You did call me out again, not only for tuning out, but last week for just repeating everything I say. So yes, I am officially in Dick Mountain territory, ladies and gentlemen. I act like an old man, and I am therefore an old man. Amy, let's look again. I am going to lean on you for
Did you just say look?
drink. I am going to lean on you for positivity because these are very dark times.
Are
The Doy
they? Are they really?
well, that's why I need your perspective here because the Doyers got swept by the Cerveceros not only this past weekend in Los Angeles, but the season series. The Doyers went 0-6 against the Cerveceros. Once again, they have lost the season series to a potential playoff opponent. Amy, we mentioned Ozzy Osbourne at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I am starting to think that there
That
are a
you
lot
don't
of
like baseball?
no, not that I don't like baseball, but that there are people in the not the fans. I'm not even talking about the fans' reaction. Like the fans right now are that meme of the dog where the room is on fire and everything is fine. You know, the fans are losing their mind. But I am seeing stuff from people who actually work for the Dodgers that they sound like me. And I'm just like, wait a minute, you guys can't be the Prince of Darkness. And this is what I mean, Amy. I know you didn't hear this because you were covering the game on Sunday, but Steven Nelson was doing the play by play on Sunday, and he absolutely lost his mind. He was so angry and so frustrated that even at what after he kind of let out everything that he needed to let out because he was going off on the defense and how bad the outfield defense is, and then he even said this on the podcast. He was just like, "Okay, I'm better now." So I saw that coming out of him. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I miss Tim Neverett. Dodgers, I know you guys listen to the show. Can we please get Tim Neverett more games? Can we give him more games on the radio in this time of struggle, in this time of darkness? Tim Neverett is, I think, who the Dodgers need behind the mic. I mentioned that, Amy, and then I mentioned some of the remarks. These are coming straight from Dave Roberts. You can't attribute these quotes to me. These are literally quotes from Dave Roberts in post game interviews, Amy. Here's Dave
Are
Roberts.
you gonna bring up the positive ones he says too, or are you just gonna focus on the negative
I'm
ones?
just going to focus on this because I
Oh,
saw something. I'm focusing on this because I saw something this past weekend against the Cervecero series that I have not seen from Dodger employees. I've seen it from fans, but I haven't seen it from Dodger employees. So I want to get your reaction to it. So Dave Roberts, in terms of the Doyers, at this point they had lost 5 in a row to the Cerveceros. And this was Dave Roberts. Probably not. They're playing as good as anybody in baseball. They clearly have our number right now. We just got to win a game. Okay, I get it. So he's admitting that the Cerveceros have their number. Then on Spectrum Sportsnet after the game on Sunday, Jerry Hairston flat out came out and said the Dodgers got their ass kicked. Willis, excuse me, echoed the same sentiments and said, yeah, they got their ass kicked. Now, both of them tried to spin it and say, this is good. This is what the Dodgers need. They need a good ass kicking. Amy, here's my you were there all weekend. Are you not picking up this vibe? And then the last thing I want to add to this, because I know you were there. Well, I don't know if you were there in the clubhouse for Clayton Kershaw's. We're going to get there to Clayton Kershaw's. But Mookie Betts did a post game interview that was the saddest Christmas ever. And for the first time, Dodger manager Dave Roberts is openly talking about Mookie Betts' struggles. We had not seen it up in, at least I haven't. You tell me otherwise. I have not seen Dave Roberts openly speak about acknowledging Mookie Betts' season because, as we mentioned on the last episode, this season is his worst major league season. And if you saw that post game interview with him, that poor guy doesn't. It gave me Noah Syndergaard vibes, where if he knew what was wrong, he would have fixed it. He's stressed. It doesn't matter where I hit in the order. I just don't feel right at the plate in terms of his mechanics. Amie, you were there this weekend. Am I just reading this wrong? You don't see this sense of frustration coming from not only players, management, but people actually in the organization in regards to how this team is playing?
I mean, that's a facet of it, sure, but not everybody is reacting that way. So I think it comes down to we all gravitate to what we gravitate to. That's why like some people will like our podcast, some people will listen to another podcast, and we're all Dodgers podcasts talking about the same thing, but it's who you resonate with. You resonate with Jerry Hairston Jr. I think he's awesome. I don't always agree with his opinion or how he presents it. You love it. That's where we're all different. I saw other people talking about the team and I didn't see it the same way that you did. To me, honestly, my initial thought as you're bringing this up is, wow, for all of the people who say that women are emotional, the men sure are in their emotions this week, like having like little tantrums about this stuff. And it's just like this is literally baseball. They're going to go through downturns. They're not going to win every single game. And I guess like when we talk about like not common sense, but like bringing reality into it, what do you want these players to say? You've got a bunch of people
What I thought was
asking,
so great, yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, but what I thought was so
but I'm
great
going to
is
interrupt you.
I totally thought of you when I saw the Kershaw thing and when I saw all these other reactions. I totally thought exactly in Amy's voice. I heard, "Wow, you men are really caught up in your emotions." But as you said that, the siren went off, so
Uh-huh.
it was almost like the emotion police had shown up.
Hmm.
No, David wants to
They're
talk.
not
They're
after
not.
you, David wants a taco. They're
It's the
after the
emotion police.
it's the emotional men.
So
You guys
sorry.
are in you guys are in hysterics.
I love that. Emotional hysterics. Okay. I didn't want to interrupt. I
No, no,
just
no.
wanted to give you credit for
Thank
how
you.
you have a reservation in my mind. So go
I
ahead.
just I just curtsied while sitting. To me, it just comes down to this is where like it's hard to wear both hats for me. It's hard to be media. We need to report what's going on. I love the field that I'm in because we do a lot more human interest stories, so we're not as focused on this stuff. And that's honestly how I watch the game anyway. But when I have my fan hat on and I'm watching some of these interviews, whether I'm present in the scrum or I'm watching it after the fact, and I'm like, what do you want him to say? We all know it was a bad game. And I understand everybody has a role in here. All of those reporters have to ask certain questions, have to get certain sound bites. But at the same time, like, what did you want any of them to say? I applauded Kershaw when he had his presser, and like he kept getting asked the same question over and over again, and it's like, I'm going to get in trouble saying something, guys, so I'm just going to walk away. We're going to end this. Like, what else can they possibly say? They're losing right now. It doesn't feel good. It's frustrating. If they could do better, they would. So it's either, to me, it's like that ride or die thing of like, okay, we either ride or die with this team and we support them and we try to lift them up, and Mookie's having a rough go. And they moved him down. We're seeing some changes there, but like, okay, they're having a bad go of it. Let's hold out till they do better.
So you were there then for the Kershaw post game
I
interview?
wasn't there for that, but I saw it after the fact.
Okay. Because I was curious in terms of how it felt in the room because you see it on TV, but sometimes when you're in the room, there's a different vibe that's going
Um,
on.
I will say this, because there is so much media there now, sometimes you don't even get to feel the vibe in the room, honestly, because you're just trying to keep your camera straight for the shot without getting bumped by everybody. So sometimes it's like, okay, I will rewatch this later and I will grasp what just happened, because as a, media first, you need to make sure you get the shot so that you could even either use it or talk about it later. So
You've asked me in the past, why do I call Clayton Kershaw a red ass? That is one example of why I think he is a red ass. Now, there is this belief, and he has said this, so you have to take him at his word, that the reason why he was so upset and so frustrated was he was upset with his own performance. There's a lot of people that are putting it out there saying that he's upset with the defense because there were some big errors that led to those 3 runs in there. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know, and that's why I wanted to see if you were in the room to get that vibe,
I mean,
because
that's one of those things where we're never gonna know though. Like that's where it comes, like that's the price of a soundbite, right? You're never gonna fully get the truth. The same thing with like injury reports. They're gonna let you know as much as they're gonna let you know. So for me, I'm not gonna speculate on it. I'm gonna take him at his word. And at the end of the day, for me, in those senses, it doesn't matter anyway. The bottom line is he was frustrated. They are all frustrated. That's what I took away from it. If you're trying to get like more from that, I think you're gonna end up speculating anyway, because all you can take is what they're saying at face value.
so Brian sent me a message in particular about that interview and said, Juan, did he just throw his teammates under the bus? And here's my answer to that, Brian. I don't know that he threw his teammates under the bus. Just as Amie just said right now, I don't know there's a clear way that we can say that he did it. I know that there are probably different ways of looking at it, but could it be that possibly what is doing is sending a message to everyone at this clubhouse is we have standards here in this organization, and playing like this, we can't use the injuries as an excuse. Continuing to play like this is not acceptable. We talked about the defense in the beginning of the year we always thought, oh, they're going to fix it. They're going to fix it. And this is why I brought it up in the beginning of the year, Amie, is you start building bad habits. And once you have habits, it's really hard to change them. The defense has just not looked. I mean, there's a lot of problems going on with this team,
Right. But
but
I
the
don't think he's
defense
going
has
to
not
use
looked good.
but I don't think he's going to use the media to send a message. Kershaw's pretty straightforward and forthright. If he has a problem with the team, they're going to wait, and while the doors are closed, they're going to have those conversations within the team. He's not going to have I'm trying to think of the word, but it's been a long week. He's not gonna allude to it. He's just gonna say it. So to me, I mean, everybody has their opinion. I think they're just going to have those team meetings and they're going to call it out. They're already aware of it anyway. He doesn't need to throw anybody under the bus. They feel it when they make these errors. They're not making them and they're like, yeah, another error. My error count's higher. Like nobody wants to be playing like this. So
I see where Brian is coming about. I mean, I do feel he was being emotional. I do see, because if you see Dustin May's interviews, Dustin May to me is just as pissed off as Clayton Kershaw. Dustin May doesn't storm off at the end of his interview and say, I'm going to end this before I say something I don't want to say.
I'm not saying that the players are being emotional. I'm saying the people that you called out for having emotional reactions on the broadcasts, they are letting their emotions be known. To me, the players, like, they're frustrated. It's right, and rightfully so. They're frustrated with their performance. They're frustrated probably with each other as a team, how they're performing. Like nobody's happy about it. Like to me, it's like and this isn't attacking anybody's perspective. Like we're all entitled to how we view it, but like it just is what it is. Everybody's frustrated. You could try to read more into the narrative, and that is not pointed at Brian at all. I'm talking about fans in general. You can try to read more into the narrative if you want. I don't know what that's going to accomplish. It's not going to fix it.
No, but I like I said, it is, I think, an interesting question that Brian is asking, only because Clayton Kershaw is a leader on this team. And what Clayton Kershaw says, what Clayton Kershaw does matter.
But he didn't say anything. I mean, I'm trying to recall because there were a lot of pressers this weekend, but I don't think he said anything about the team. He was talking about himself. So what was he saying about the team?
That they're not playing well.
But we know that. Like,
and that's
this falls under kind of the asked and answered. Like, this to me is common sense. They're not playing well. Where's the newsflash?
And that's the reason why I asked you this question in the beginning, because to me, it feels like things are a little different. And maybe they are different because they need to try something different to try to get out of this funk. I have
By
never
attacking
seen,
each other.
well, that's the thing, right? When Dale was struggling, Dave Roberts, he is our right fielder. He is out there. When Tanner Scott was struggling, Tanner Scott is our closer. We're going to keep sending out here. This is the first time I've seen them actually acknowledge Mookie is struggling. We're trying to do something to get Mookie right. And that to me seems something a little out of character because, for the most part, I feel, especially Dave Roberts, has been very positive and he's always behind his guy. And I wonder why all of a sudden they're doing that with Mookie. And then the other thing that I have to ask myself with Mookie,
But fans are asking this question and they're demanding answers. And so when they make a change that supposedly fans have been asking for, then people go ahead, they throw it back in their face again. They can't win. Like, they can't win with whatever they're doing because people are either mad that they're not moving them around in the lineup, they're not acknowledging it, then they do, and it's like, what are they doing? Like, they're playing baseball. They're just trying to get through the season with all the injuries.
no, that's fair. That I've seen a lot of that reaction. I think what happens is also when you bring up this question, then you bring up another question, and that's the question that I don't think anybody wants to ask or anybody wants to deal with the answer, and that is that maybe Mookie's not going to get any better this year. That maybe this is just a one-off. I also think this is something that's not being discussed, but if you look at his numbers since he hurt his wrist last year, his numbers have not been good since he hurt his wrist last year.
And
So
this is
he,
just where we watch baseball differently because I don't want to say I don't care about this stuff, but it's stuff I can't change. Mookie's going to play however he's going to play. And because I love the humanity of the game, I'm going to back him up however he's like, as a fan, like, I want him to do well however he's doing. If he's having a bad run of it right now, okay. Like, I hope he does better, but that's where I leave it. I like, to me, I'm not gonna. I love diving into stats. I love diving into numbers, but I'm not gonna analyze it to death because there's still nothing I can do about it. I know the guy's trying his hardest. To the people who are like, oh my gosh, he hasn't been the same since he's been injured, and what if he never gets better? Okay, well, what if? What then? Like, that's
that
and that's where we fan different. I just, to me, it's a non-issue. It's not that I don't care. It's like, it's not going to change the game for me.
Yeah, so for those wondering about Mookie, I think it is just something to consider because I've seen a lot of conversation about his bat speed, and being that his bat speed is slower, there is a possibility that maybe his bat speed is slower because he has not fully recovered from that wrist injury, and maybe this is what he's going to be like. Adrian Gonzalez, when he hurt his shoulder, said it took him a year to go ahead and actually feel normal. We are about a year from when Mookie hurt his wrist. That's why when Federico took that one off the wrist, I
Mhm.
thought, oh no, what's going to happen there? But I look, what's funny, Amy, is I think, have gotten to the point where you have always wanted me to get, because a struggle like this would have gotten me really upset. I would have been up in a tizzy, and now I am completely unbothered by the fact that the Dodgers are going through this stretch.
Because what are you
Uh,
going to do about it? What
yeah,
are you going to do?
the world's on fire. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the least of my worries that the
And I think
Dodgers went 0 and 6 against the Cerveceros this year.
and I think that's where, like, my perspective comes from, and whether you get I don't expect you to shift my way, but baseball is my respite. So I'm not going to attack the thing that gives me my hope in this world that has so much other stuff going on. This is where I want to find my joy. So I do choose to focus on the positive. And, you know, Mookie did hit in the leadoff spot. So when we were there on Saturday, the pregame presser, the scrum that Doc gave, he let everybody know, like, Mookie's going to be out today. He took him out. It was his choice. And basically, like, he may be in the game on Sunday. He may not. Dave Roberts was going to evaluate that, and they were going to see, because they know he's struggling, and if this is the reset he needs, that's what they were going to do. We did end up seeing him in the game on Sunday, and the question did get asked, are you thinking about moving him around in the lineup? And we got kind of a non-committal answer, and then we saw on Sunday he was in the leadoff spot for the first time. I think the stat I heard was since Father's Day the previous year, when he went out with the injury. So in that regard, I think it solves a bunch of problems, like we already talked to when one of our listeners brought it up last weekend. We did see Mookie got on base quite a few times. Shohei hit behind him, and then you've already got that ready-made run to come in. So aside from Shohei not getting as many hits as he would want statistically, I think it is benefiting the team a little bit as they're starting to try to bounce back.
I really wish you would have listened to the radio broadcast on Sunday, because Steven Nelson sounded like old me. And what cracked me up,
I probably would have just laughed. I would have been like, oh.
like, he literally said something that made me laugh, because it was after he let his emotions hit, because he was emotional. And then he said, I just hate seeing bad baseball. I hate seeing bad baseball. And that, to me, it's like,
you've said that in the past.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's old me.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm just not as big a fan as I once was. And because of that, I'm able to be more objective. I know you guys just think I'm a straight out hater because I'm critical of the team. But like,
that's how you fan. And that's where you and I will never fan the same.
I feel I'm being honest. I Jose Ayala has said this to me in the past, and it's like, Juan, you call it the way it is. That's right. I do. I try to call it the way it is.
And that's somebody that resonates with you, with the way that you message it. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see it that way, and that's fine. Jose Ayala might resonate better with how you speak about baseball. Not everybody's going to resonate with me. A lot of the people that I hang out with or I surround myself with have a similar view to how I look at baseball, and we choose to find the positive. Everybody fans differently, and that's where you just find the people that you're drawn to. I'm sure our listeners don't resonate with the way that I talk about it per se, and that's fine. You guys don't have to. We all get to have our view on it.
I get it, Amie, but here's the thing. We can sit here and talk about it. They still ended up getting swept. That first game, I tip my hat to the Cerveceros. They beat the Dodgers. I mean, that was a 2-0 game, and the way the Cerveceros pitching, they were painting the corners. They were using all levels of that strike zone. So I tip my hat to the Cerveceros in that first game on Friday. They just outplayed the Dodgers. Now, you can sit there and make the argument they outplayed them the whole weekend, but in particular, I feel that Friday game, the Cerveceros really outplayed the Dodgers. Now, Saturday and Sunday, you can definitely make the argument that
they were all close games. So to lose, it was 0-2 Friday, 7-8 Saturday, and 5-6 Sunday. It's better than being swept and having blowout games. They were still close games.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday, I think you can make the argument that the Dodgers hurt themselves, that they shot themselves in the leg, and that they had their opportunities to not get swept in that series. But look, the majority of the damage done offensively by the Cerveceros was in the bottom of their lineup. Their bottom of their lineup is what hurt the Dodgers. So
and our pitching, as we know, it's not 100%. So when you either have pitching that's not all the way there, or the offense can't come back from the defensive errors while the pitching is happening, because as we saw, like Clayton Kershaw was throwing a pretty good game for a minute. He didn't get help from the offense, and that carried over into the series with the Twins. And where in some cases in the past we could blame it all on pitching, I think it is that combination of like defensive errors. Dave Roberts mentioned like they just need to focus. He thinks because they're so caught up on some of this other stuff, the head trash is just getting in, and it's bleeding over into the little things that you should have that muscle memory. You should be able to pick up that ball. You shouldn't have things glance off your gloves. You should be able to kind of determine where a ball's going to land and catch it. And so we're seeing that impact things in that Brewers series and then carry over into the Twins.
Do you want to talk about the Gemelos, or is there anything else you want to add about that Cervecero series?
We did see, especially in that Friday game, Haesung Kim was making some stellar plays. Like it was nice to see him at second. Like you could see him really working with Freddie at first, and it just as I was watching it, obviously you don't want to lose, but it was just like it's good to see him kind of finding his footing out there. So it gave me some hope, at least for some of those positions as we're trying to find, we're trying to make our way deeper into the season as we're starting the second half.
All right, well, let's see if we can get to some positivity here. And that is the Gemelos came into town, and the Dodgers ended up taking 2 out of 3. At this point, they are now 4.5 games out in front of the Show Pods because the Show Pods lost to the Marlins of Miami. So the Dodgers.
So some teams are losing to other teams that they should be beating too. So it's not just the Dodgers.
And look, as much as we make it seem like it's all doom and gloom, they are still in first place.
We make it
Okay,
seem.
as much as I make it seem that it's all doom and gloom, they're still in first place. So now they have a 4.5 game lead. But what did you see in that Gemelo series?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised because when Freddie got hit by that pitch on Sunday and we saw him, like, you never see Freddie leave a game. And he got hit and he immediately just slow walked off the field. No trainers even made it out to him. He didn't say a word. He just went. And so you knew. And from what we heard, he was going to be day to day. And then lo and behold, we see him in the game the next day. So I was pleasantly surprised that we got him in that Twin series because I was expecting at least a couple days off. They were planning on having Dalton Rushing playing third. I picked him up on my fantasy team in first. Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking 3 position in my head because I've been doing all my scoring to catch up. But I picked him up, was ready to put him on my roster, and then Freddie Freeman came in and I had to make some switches. So it was nice to see Freddie in there.
I had the same reaction you did. When he walked straight into the dugout, I looked at my wife and I said, "Oh, that's not good," because of everything that you just said, Amy. I was like, "This guy doesn't like this guy fights to stay in the game. Like they don't."
He played the entire World Series on a bum leg, like on a bum ankle.
Yeah, for him to voluntarily walk straight into not even a conversation, like he just walked straight in. I thought for sure
he got hit, and it was just movement to the dugout.
Yeah, my initial thought I thought it was broken, and I was like, oh, it's the wrist. It's gonna be a while, and I mean that's the last thing you want. So yeah, I agree with you. I was completely surprised by the fact that he came out. But they were able to win that game, and they showed signs of all right. So maybe it's just the Cerveceros, like Dave Roberts says. Maybe it's just the Cerveceros have their number. But then Tuesday happened, and
and we had World Series ring night on Monday, and the hum in the stadium. I know your sister is still looking for a Kike jersey because a lot of people didn't get the gold jerseys they wanted on the last one. We saw a lot of trades happening with the World Series ring giveaway on Monday as well.
Wait, I thought wasn't it once? This wasn't the Shohei one.
So Shohei, Freddie, and Mookie all have their own solo World Series ring night, but Monday night it ran the gamut of you could get Alex Vesia, Teoscar Hernandez, Miguel Rojas, Clayton Kershaw, and I cannot remember the 5th.
It wasn't Kike?
No, it wasn't Kike. I was a little upset about that. But there was a 5th one. Somebody's probably screaming at their radio right now or wherever they're listening to this on their phone. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long week. I got a Rojas ring, which I saw some hate for him on social media about like, who's giving away a Rojas ring? And that's what I got. And I was stoked. Like, that's the one I wanted. So
how crazy was it?
It was, so I worked that day, which I don't usually work on the weekdays. So I ended up getting to the stadium at 2:00 to be there for media hours. So I didn't get to see how crazy it was to get in, but I imagine it probably, any of those giveaway nights are probably pretty gnarly to get into the stadium.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. But look, they won on Monday. Tuesday was the one that that game is the one that broke most Dodger fans because that's when I started seeing a lot of meltdowns on social media.
And I was at that game last night.
And I think it was just it was a combination of a lot of things. I think seeing once again another injury, with the night before on Monday with the Tanner Scott injury, and then Kasperius walked off the mound, with
Mhm.
another apparent injury. And what is becoming very clear, the trade deadline is, hey, ladies and gentlemen, the trade deadline is next week.
Mhm.
Okay. And so there is a lot of talk about the fact that the Dodgers need, there was at one point that a lot of people, especially on this show, would say, hey, outfield is a need. Outfield is a need. In particular, they're looking at poor Michael Conforto. But I think now what has clearly moved to the top of the list is they need help in the bullpen. Now, Amy, the question is, how much help do they need in the bullpen? Because I don't know if one arm is enough. I know you gave us the update on Blake Trinan, but we're not going to see. Who knows when we're going to see Blake Trinan? Who knows how healthy really Blake Trinan is? But
Well, and they already said they don't want to rush him back. So like
yeah,
while he is working up, they're not going to bring him back early just to potentially re-injure him.
and we've heard no updates whatsoever on Brewstar,
No, we have not.
right?
Mm-mm.
And here I am thinking Brewstar would be after the All Star break, but they haven't even brought him up. They haven't even mentioned. So, what did you hear? Or, I mean, in terms of relievers, Amy, they have to get more than one right now, right? Because they don't have a right-handed reliever who can reliably get people out. And then you just lost your closer. The three high, well, I wouldn't say highest leverage, but imp- three bullpen arms that play a very important role in this bullpen have some of the highest ERAs on this team. I'm not going to count Ben Kasperius because he just went on the injured list, and I don't know if you were really going to use him late in games. He seemed to be more of a length guy. His ERA is over 5, but in particular, Daddy Bonda,
I hate when you call him that. His name is
uh,
Anthony.
Tanner Scott, and then the man who I think is on a lot of people's lists right now. Do you want to talk about Yates?
Uh, I mean, what do you want to say about him?
So Yates' ERA is, aside from Brent Kasperius, is the highest ERA, and that was a guy that the Dodgers signed who was supposed to be high leverage, who you were going to use as a bridge to get
Hmm.
you to your closer. That was a guy in the 7th and the 8th. That guy was a right-handed reliever. That was a guy I think that the Dodgers were expecting they were going to be able to use to get those right-handed bats out. When he gave up that hit, well, it wasn't a hit, but when it was initially hit by Correa, I was like, oh Lord, that's God. And I didn't realize how closely it came to actually going out until I saw the replay of fellow Stalloner's club, James Outman's glove, kind of going over the fence to catch that ball. So I don't know if you can
Are you
count on,
talking about Monday's game?
yeah,
Because
Monday to end Monday's game.
okay, because I was like, he didn't play in.
Yeah, to end Monday's game. So the thing is, and then he made an appearance in Wednesday's game, and that was not very good
And I
either.
haven't even caught up on that, other than I know we won at the last minute, and it was a walk off from Freddie.
Well, I'm sparing you the suspense.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yates
rewatch it.
Yates did not look good in that game again. So, and that's the thing is they're running out of options. Amy, who are they going to use to close games right now?
Well, I mean, they've been doing closer by committee, but I think some of the arms that they've brought up to kind of assist with that, like we're seeing, like you said, Kasperius and Klein had rough, rough innings last night. Like I think that was like it was unfortunate in the beginning of the game on Tuesday night because you had Yoshinobu and he was like trucking along, and then the errors extended out. I think it was that second inning, and so like he could have potentially been out of it, but stuff went sideways. So you saw his pitch count get up there. And then Andy Pajes hit that 3-run home run and reset the game. And everybody in the stadium, you felt that renewed hope. And then as the game continued to go on, Ben Kasperius walked the bases full. And then I think at that point they pulled him out. I'm trying to see
That's when
here.
he felt the
Yeah.
cramp.
Well, and he walked the lead run in. So at that point, the game was still tied, and then gave the Twins the lead, which the collective groan in the stadium was just like, obviously nobody wants to do that. And then he exited the game without any outs, basically walking the bases full. I'm trying to see who came in after that. Alexis Diaz then made his debut. He had a pretty clean inning. He pitched for a whole inning, 13 pitches.
Except for the hits that he gave up. That I know he doesn't get credited for the runs; those get credited to Kasperius. But I would not say that he technically had a clean inning, even though he didn't give any runs. But he did give up those hits, and
Yeah,
Kasperius runs came
they did
in.
come in, but I mean, that's it. He didn't load the bases, I guess,
No,
is my
no,
point.
he did not. But he did not give me. I was not encouraged by that outing. That it's
Well,
like, oh,
I
hey,
guess
Diaz,
I'm
Diaz is going to help us for a while. You know?
right. No, and nobody wants to see that. But if you take out the bases loaded, and Dave Roberts already addressed that of like, we are evaluating these guys. Everything is a test. So if we have to bring them in a high leverage situation, we are absolutely evaluating them with, you may not have gotten those runners on base, but what are you going to do with it? So I'm not trying to take that responsibility off of him. But the fact that it was his debut, there's going to
No,
be extra nerves there.
it's a
And
tough situation to be brought into.
it sucks that that's your debut is bases loaded. If you take out the bases loaded, somebody ground out, somebody singled, but then he struck somebody out and then the other flew out. So if those runners hadn't been on base in his debut, would it have gone differently? We don't like to play, or at least I don't like to play the what if game. But in the situation of him making a debut, it was like the worst case situation ever for him. And then you have poor Edgardo, who's making his season debut because he's been out since spring training. And at that point, I was listening on the radio when he threw the ball into right field. It like the commentators, it was like, what, what, what just happened? And from what I heard, because I haven't gotten to go back and rewatch that piece, is it went all the way to the right field wall.
Yeah.
Like 3 runs scored on that one. Like that can't. I feel for him because nobody wants to. Like that's my fear. That's why I go to the batting cages and I don't necessarily play on a team because I don't want to make plays like that. He did not want to do that, and then to have to live through that is just like, oh, I felt for him.
Yeah, Andy Ba has fielded that at the wall. Is
I heard
when
it bounced off the wall.
Yeah, it was like if you wouldn't have known better, you would have thought Andy Baez was fielding a double. That's what it was.
I mean, I guess if it was going to go to anybody, at least it's the guy with the cannon, but obviously you'd really rather that didn't happen. And again, 2 guys making their debuts in really crappy situations. So,
Yeah,
just
but
not
like,
ideal.
it's what you say all the time. Like, what are you going to do? This is the
Mhm.
situation that we're in. But 3 games in this series, the bullpen made things very interesting to straight out. I mean, Tuesday was a disaster. Monday was too close for comfort. And this one, it took, Federico's heroics to avoid another game where the bullpen just completely fell apart. And you hear this all the time. Hershiser says this. A lot of the commentators on Spectrum Sportsnet LA say this. It's the walks. You
Mhm.
cannot. The number of walks that the
The
bull.
walks and the free outs, because
Yeah.
you're basically giving away free outs.
I mean, I don't know how many times the Dodgers bullpen had walked the bases loaded in this series. So it's I get it. These are major league teams, and especially a team like the Cerveceros who are red hot. You can't give them extra opportunities like
Well,
that.
and it was 2 innings. Like, granted, in the midst, so the top of the 6th, you had a walk, a double, a walk, and a walk, and then you go into the 7th, and you've got 3 walks in a row. Then you make that error throwing into right field, and then they all come around to score. Like if you hadn't walked all of those, that's 3 runs you get back. And again, you can't take them back. This is where like I do try to focus on the positive because like we've been talking about basically this whole episode. It's been what can you do? But we did see Otani pitch on Monday. He did 3 innings. He gave up his first home run. He wasn't thrilled about that, but he still was pretty efficient overall. And so we got him up to, he's still at that 3 innings. He threw 46 pitches. Dustin May came in, had a pretty good, no runs. So a lot different from his last start, and this was his first relief appearance since September of 2020. And then you've got, granted, Yoshinobu got handed a crap sandwich on Tuesday, but he still went 5 innings and did his best. So for the most part, and then you've got Glasnow today who went 7 innings, only gave up 1 run. So you are seeing some of the, at least you're getting some positives while there's a lot of negatives as well. So it's kind of balanced. And then you've got Shohei Ohtani, who's hit 5 home runs in as many games. Well, no, probably more than that, but he's hit a home run in at least 5 games.
Yeah, the unicorn. I think the unicorn is trying to do his best to carry this team during this stretch. Yoshi,
Him and Pages.
Yoshi is a little concerning to me because there was that start in San Francisco, and he was okay in San Francisco, but that Milwaukee start where he didn't get out of the first inning, and then this last start against the Gemelos, it was that second and third innings that killed him. He just made way too many pitches. He could not hit these hitters away. There were a lot of foul balls against him that drove up his pitch count. And that, to me, there seems to be a little bit of inconsistency there. So I'm not sure what that's about in terms of him in the strike zone, or the fact that he can't put hitters away. That really sucks. We saw that when Kershaw was going to break the strikeout record. How many times he got 2 strikes on hitters and he couldn't put them away? That kind of stuff just drives pitchers crazy because it drives up the pitch count.
And this is only his second year in the MLB. So, like, to me, it's like, all right, I think he's navigating pretty well considering the circumstances, switching over. He had his first year, injuries midway through. I think for the most part, he's doing a pretty good job. I think the numbers don't give him the credit that he deserves because, as we know, he does not get the run support on the days that he pitches. So it does, I don't want to say it inflates the stats. You can't necessarily do that, but it doesn't do justice to what he's doing out there. And in that second inning, yeah, he did throw a lot of pitches. But after that fourth batter, you don't have some of those errors. You don't have those runs coming around. You could potentially end the inning a little bit sooner. So the defense didn't do him any favors in that regard. But, here we are. And I still feel like if he was still able to go, what did he go?
He
5
went 5.
innings, he's still limited for the most part,
Yeah, but that's the storyline. This past week has been the defense, and then leading to the pitch counts. I mean, I think it's amazing that Glasnow went 7 innings today. That Tyler Glasnow actually threw over 100 pitches coming back from injury.
12 strikeouts. I'm excited to go back and watch this now. I'm like, he struck out 12 batters. Yes.
Tyler Glasnow has looked great since he's come back. Of course, always is the concern is how long can he keep this up? But I was not expecting
that's for any of them, because we don't know what Yoshi's going through at this point.
And you know what? And that's the other concern, Amie, for me is I think that decision to allow Glasnow to go 7 innings was because of the fact that the Dodgers right now don't trust anybody in the bullpen. So you're trying to get an extra inning out of your starter now.
Which goes back to what you've always said is the more people you have, it's the more potential for somebody to mess it up. And what we saw in Tuesday's game, we had 6 pitchers in that game. And as we saw, things went sideways. It wasn't all of them, but it was a couple of them. And all it takes is one or 2 bad innings.
Yeah, Rogelio, I think, is a new listener to the show because he keeps sending me messages now after episodes. But Rogelio brings up a point, and Rogelio, I don't think there's a question here, but I see what you're saying, and that is because of the way the Dodgers have managed their pitching staff, maybe this is why we are in the situation that we're in the sense that they're very conservative with their starters. They limit the innings on the starters, and because they limit the innings on the starters, the innings on the bullpen just keep adding up. To now we're at a point where the bullpen is in complete tatters, and that's because maybe it's because of the workload, but again, maybe. I think the people we see in the bullpen right now, I don't think if we see these same guys in the playoffs in the bullpen, then the Dodgers really have trouble, are really having problems. The idea is a lot of these guys like Klein, I don't expect to be on the playoff roster. Suzuki is allegedly going to start rehab assignments. I know they're expecting him maybe in August to be ready. So the starting rotation is going to start to get crowded, which means now you look at Dustin May. Now,
Suzuki. Why is that name not ringing a bell? Have we just not
did
seen
I
him?
mispronounce his name?
Suzuki. I'm just trying to. Who? What's his first name?
Sasaki. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was like, who's? That's
Yeah,
another
Sasaki.
player.
All right. There's a base running error. There's a base running error.
No, go back. We caught it. Jose Ayala.
It's
He.
Sasaki. Sorry. My bad. Uh, I have Ichiro on the mind because Ichiro is going into the Hall of Fame. By the way, Hall of Fame induction this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. So tune in for next episode.
One of these days, I'm gonna get you your baseball Hall of Fame gift over to you, and maybe it has something to do with Ichiro.
This is the year I should have gone to the Hall of Fame. I should have gone to see Ichiro, but I'm sure it's going to be a madhouse.
It's gonna be a cluster.
Yeah. So
you wanna go when go for the first time so you can experience it, and then go when Clayton Kershaw gets in.
So the trade deadline is going to be interesting just because we've talked about they need bullpen help. They need bullpen help.
So we need Dick Mountain?
Well, here's the thing.
Or as people are still hoping, they're holding out for Joe Kelly.
Well, it's getting to the point where I think it's bad enough where they may need to call Mariachi Joe up and be like, hey, do you think you got a couple innings in you? You think you can go ahead and throw? Because I know a lot of Dodger fans were throwing this out on Tuesday's game, and we're like, is there anybody available in the stands who can throw just a couple of innings? But here's what I was mentioning before I butchered his name, Sasaki, and that is if he does come back in August and Blake Snell comes back in August, some of these guys who are in the starting rotation, like Dustin May piggybacked Otani on his last start. Now, Dave Roberts said that Dustin May is going to get a traditional start. He's going to start the game in Boston this weekend. But does this mean that Dustin May is going to be a candidate to move into the bullpen? Is that what the Dodgers thinking is going to be in terms of this is how we're going to help the bullpen? I hope that.
I think it's fluid at this point because until you find out what they get at the trade deadline and you can even see how some of these guys in the bullpen currently shake out, like I think they're playing it much like they always say, they're going day by day and just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I have no clue how they're going to survive this stretch up until the trade deadline, Amy. I really don't.
They're just they're gonna play as best as they can and hopefully win some. Hopefully more than they lose.
Once the starter goes out, or you're going into those late innings when the bullpen comes in, I just can. It's hold on to your butts, everybody, because whatever you think is going to happen, who knows what's it's going to be a real toss up.
Yeah, I mean, but that's baseball, bro.
Is there anything else you want to add about the Gemelo series?
I don't think so. I think I'm a little behind the 8 ball because when they play during games where I'm at work, it just makes it hard to catch up.
Look, the unicorn has been fantastic, and I know that I've been negative the majority of this episode, but I will.
What? Yeah, no.
I just want to say this. Will Smith continues. I know the idea was, okay, here comes the second half of the season. This is when Will Smith starts taking a dip. Well, it hasn't arrived yet.
Wow. You're just the fact that you are waiting to be disappointed makes me sad for you.
It's not. I'm not waiting for disappointment.
Because you say the same thing about Tyler Glasnow. I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm just like, God.
I'm just looking at the back of the baseball card, Amy, and that's usually.
And as we know, the stats don't always belie the player.
Well, look, I want to give him his flowers. Will Smith continues. I mean, he has just been great all season. I know a lot of people are trying to attribute to the fact that Dalton Rushing is giving him more time off, and maybe that's why he stayed fresher. I don't know.
But he's also not playing injured. He was playing injured from pretty early in the season last year with that concussion and with that rib issue. So this is the stuff. I had a lot of conversations around the ballpark this weekend about this, but when something happens to us, we may have office jobs, maybe we're out, but we get a little bit more ways to rest our bodies or rehab our bodies. These guys are rehabbing them while they're playing 10, 12-hour days with minimal days off in between. That is rough on your body when you're not injured. When you're injured and you're still doing this in a game, like, I don't, that to me is why these guys are superhuman. And that's why I try to give them a little bit more grace, because this can't be easy. It's not easy to play healthy for this many games in a row.
No, and he brought that up in his post game interview on Monday, and that is that he feels healthy. He feels great. So look, I see. I'm not all doom and gloom. I want to give the man his flowers. The guy, I get it. The unicorn is obvious. To give the unicorn flowers every week is not really going out on a stretch. But Will
But it's still
Smith,
nice. You don't want to overlook somebody. It's always nice to hear nice things.
I know when you have the unicorn on your team, I think it's really hard to say anybody else is the MVP on your team. But I think you can make a real strong case for Will Smith this year. Really, I mean, where would this team be without Will Smith? But I guess you have the unicorn on your team doing unicorn things, so it's going to distract.
Well, and there are times where Will Smith has been a lot more consistent even than Shohei while he was going through his slumps. Like, Will Smith
Yeah.
for a while had the highest, I was going to say ERA, that's how tired I am, had the highest batting average on the team for
Yeah,
like
no.
a significant portion of the season.
Will Smith has just he's having a fantastic season.
He's one of my favorites. He's in that cadre of players that I have loved since he came up.
Okay, so before we wrap things up, this week is a very important week. So I'm going to hand it over to my co-host Amie. What is this week?
It is Women in Baseball Week. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the 9th annual. So it's something that the International Women's Baseball Center kind of thought up. Ryan Woodward is one of the people who helped create this. But it's essentially a week where we take time out, and it's a worldwide event, and it just recognizes the value, diversity, and the cultural significance of women in baseball. And it doesn't matter what role you play. So whether you are an actual female baseball player, or you work in media, on the field with the team, behind the scenes. So it's just recognizing all of those women. And I had an opportunity this weekend to not only not shed light on it, because, basically just celebrate with people around the stadium because I was already there, but we got to incorporate some of those people in little like celebratory videos that we got to put out. So just, not a thank you, but like recognizing, like, there's Robin, one of the security guards. She's the gal who like scans our credential when we come out on the field. You've got the gals who run the elevator, who, basically take you to any of the levels that you need to go. We've got security that lets us in. Not only do they go through our bags from a media perspective, but they're working the gates as well. Make sure that the right people are going into the press box. There's just so many people, the people who do the credentials and make sure that media have everything they need. We have Maria in the kitchen who makes sure that everybody is settled and gets what they need in the dining room. There's so many women around baseball that make this sport go. We've always been here, and it's just a reminder that we are going to continue to be here. So this week, the theme is Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So if anybody wants to post anything, there's hashtags you can use. I believe it's hashtag Women in Baseball. There's also WIBW, so Women in Baseball Week 2025. But however you're celebrating, throw those hashtags up so that we can continue to recognize that this is not just a one-gendered sport. There are many people representing all types across the game.
And I hope you guys are following Amie on social media, because she posted a picture of women in baseball, of all the women that cover the Dodgers, that really gave me supermodel vibes. Like, to me, it was kind of the equivalent of Cindy Crawford and Christy Turlington and Linda Evangelista
That was
and Naomi Campbell.
That was a well-timed, like, just the breeze came through at just the right moment, and it caught Claudia Gestro's hair just like perfectly. It was just, yes.
It's a great picture. So go check it out on her social media. But it gives you, and that's just on the Dodgers side. Okay. Those are the amount of women that cover the Dodgers that didn't include how
And
many are
that's not
covering
even
that.
all of them. That's because we were missing Megan from, I think, Dodger Insider. Like there was a lot of people. Like we tried to grab photos of people so we could put together a segment real quick. There are so many more people that help make that stadium go, that deserve recognition. And then it's even just all the people behind the scenes in different organizations. So not just baseball or professional baseball, it's women's baseball, it's things like SABRE, the Society for American Baseball Research, all of the researchers that help put together oral histories, books, just the research that a lot of us go to or find on the internet. There's so many different aspects of women in baseball that we can celebrate.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for this episode. So stay tuned for next week, because how will the Dodgers survive this bullpen issue? We'll talk about it next week. The Dodgers will be in Boston for 3 games, and then we will join you right after that series with next
So
week's episode.
a Walker Buehler reunion.
A Walker Buehler reunion. So we shall see how the Dodgers end up. They are in first place. They're 4.5 games up on the show pods. So that's any last words, Amie, before we wrap things up?
Just enjoy the game, guys. Enjoy the game.
Okay. So, again, thank you for those of you that have been listening on the audio portion of the show. Please make sure you rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.